about to listen to the Dr. Daliah Show. Sassy, stimulating medical talk radio. Any medical advice Dr. Daliah Wax gives on her show should not be substituted for an actual visit to your medical provider. And now, here's Dr. Daliah.
All right, we are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877 Dr. Dali, 1-877-DOC-DALI. So 4 years ago, when I heard that Hollywood and Disney was going to remake the classic Snow White, I was like, oh, God, no. Are you kidding me? Really? What drama is going to ensue? And a lot of drama did ensue. They went back and forth between, well, we can't call them dwarves. Peter Dinklage spoke out against that. It's not politically correct to be perpetuating stories about dwarves, yet people with achondroplasia said, look, this is our livelihood. We get hired for these things. What the hell are you doing to us? We're trying to make a living. So there was a lot of back and forth with that. And then Rachel Zegler, who's very talented, she starts speaking out on free Palestine right after the hostages were taken and killed and raped and beheaded, and obviously not understanding what the hell is going on about politics, but it's freedom of speech. She's allowed to air how she feels, but then people are like, okay, she's an idiot. And it just started to go the wrong way. In fact, she was even insulting Snow White on waiting for a prince, and it's so this, and you know, this is why Hollywood should maybe step back from remaking classics. She's started to actually temper what she says on interviews now. And I don't want her to feel like she can't speak her mind. I'd rather know what people think, even if it's uneducated. But I think she was trying to balance being woke, pleasing the Hollywood, whoever is canceling people, saying, look, I'm going to make a statement with this. When she got the role of a lifetime, being Snow White, the fairest of the land, is a pretty good role. Now, not to mention with her voice, and she has an amazing voice, being able now to have a soundtrack. So it was a good gig. It's just what she chose to do with it. And again, she's young, she's green, what are you going to do? So the reviews have been coming out. The original reviews were saying this was beautiful, this was an amazing, but now a lot of the other reviews are saying it sucks. I don't care what the reviews say. It could be fantastic. I think how we look at movies, look at how some people loved Barbies and other thought the movie was just like me. I was the only one laughing, and there was like maybe one or two jokes. The rest of it was crickets in the theater, and there was a whole bunch of crying. They made Barbie cry throughout the movie and did a lot of butt shots. Not really very empowering to women. So I thought the movie costumes were great. The cast were great, but I thought they could have done so much better. So I thought the movie in itself stunk, and they could have done so much better. You have a Barbie movie. You know what you could have done with that? But, art is art, how people choose to do it. So I hope they remake Barbie, because there's a lot of potential with that. And try not to have Barbie crying the whole movie. But, with Snow White, if a movie is a classic, why are we trying so hard to remake them? Now, one theory is I believe Disney is losing a lot of their story copyright protection after 96 years. I think. I don't know if it's 96 years or 99 years. But so if Disney, even though I believe they could still trademark and copyright the characters, they're losing the copyright protection of stories. So they might be trying to very quickly, remake the story in the movie so they can hold on to the copyright. So it could be that. But if something is a classic, it's a classic. Okay, Die Hard is a classic. If somebody told me they are going to remake Die Hard, I'd be like, are you out of your flippin' mind? Now, don't confuse remake with sequels. I like Die Hard 2. I thought Die Hard 2 was good. Die Hard 3 wasn't bad also, but nothing's like Die Hard. Die Hard was fantastic. But to remake it with a whole new story. Didn't they try to remake MacGyver? Every time they try to remake something, they blow it. And the reason why is if something's a classic, it's a classic. Now, Hollywood is saying, but look, these classics are dated. They're using terms that shouldn't be used anymore. They're not politically correct. This is not what we're teaching kids, to dress up and try to fit into a shoe that doesn't fit, and, to try to get, a prince, and then your whole life would be better. I get that, but that's why these are classics. Are you going to remake everything Shakespeare wrote? Are you going to remake everything Mark Twain wrote? The reason why it's a classic is that's frozen in time. What happened in the 1930s happened in the 1930s. Like The Wizard of Oz. That's why I am a fan of Wicked. I understand a lot of people don't like that story. I think it's cool because it's like a pre-story to The Wizard of Oz, but don't remake The Wizard of Oz. I did like The Wiz. I remember the 80s, right? Ease on down the road. Yeah, they did do The Wiz, but do not remake The Wizard of Oz. Do not remake Gone with the Wind. Do not remake Die Hard. Do not remake Indiana Jones. These are, yes, they might be very dated, and they might, but that allows you to see what things were like during that time. Blazing Saddles, a lot of words that shouldn't have been used even then. They were wrong. But I look at these things as historical. That's what, was it in the 70s? I only saw it when I was older. Like there was a Chevy Chase. There was a Chevy Chase Saturday Night Live skit with him and Richard Pryor. And he used, terminology that we should never use at all. And that was used in that 1970 skit. And what I liked about the SNL anniversary is they brought it up showing, they did things that they're not proud of back in the 70s, back in the 80s. It's pieces of history. And so I worry that when we try to get rid of classics or try to change and alter something from a previous time, we change the history. People need to know how wrong we were. Things we did were dated. That's how people thought. But we do things differently. But don't remake a classic. Come up with a new story. Show some creativity, for crying out loud. Make a 2025 classic. 1-877 Doc Daliah. Don't go away.
Hi, everyone. If you've been injured in an accident and think you deserve compensation, listen up. We have legal professionals standing by right now to answer your questions for free. They'll tell you if you have a case and how much it's potentially worth. Call 800-710-5100. I'm here with spokesman John Wolf. So, John, tell our listeners who should call right now.
Well, Maria, first off, thank you for having me join you to answer the listeners' questions. Now, as far as who should call in, anyone who's been injured in an accident and think you deserve compensation, give us a call right now and find out how much your case is potentially worth. Call 800-710-5100.
Thanks, John. You heard it, folks. If you think you deserve compensation, call now to find out how much you qualify for. 800-710-5100.
Advertisement sponsored by Legal Help Center. May not be available in all states.
At Hotshot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems and their solutions. For example,
Hotshot Secret Stiction Eliminator.
Stiction, that sticky friction, undermines the performance of diesel engines. Third-party ASTM testing verifies that Stiction Eliminator removes 2 times as much stiction than any alternative on the retail shelf. Stiction Eliminator is formulated to be left in the engine oil. It works as you drive.
Available at truck stops, Tractor Supply, O'Reilly's Auto Parts, and online at HotShotSecret.com. Hotshot Secret. Powered by science.
In a study, it was found that 33% of 44 herbal supplements had no trace of the advertised herb. Don't let that happen to you. Hi, this is Dr. Mitch. If you want to ensure quality, please go to TotalWellness.com. Supplements made for physicians, only now available to you too. TotalWellness.com, helping you to look good, feel good, and enjoy total wellness.
are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877 Dr. Dali, 1-877 DOCDALI. Big thanks to Talk Media Network for making the show happen. Big thanks to Daniel, our producer, and big thanks to you all for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at Dr. Daliah, Facebook, The Dr. Daliah Show, and on YouTube, click like and subscribe. If you ever miss any of our shows, go to drdaliah.com. So, everybody's talking about, Trump's going to cut back on Medicaid. Obama expanded Medicaid. Obama's amazing for doing what he did. Trump is mean. These people are disabled. Nope. Medicaid is not the disabled population. That's Medicare. Medicare and Social Security are for those who are seniors and those who are disabled. Medicaid, which from what we understand, 1 in 4 Americans is on, are for people who are healthy, well-bodied, do not have a medical disability that has been documented, just are sadly and tragically under poverty level. 1 in 4 Americans are now on Medicaid after the Obamacare expansion, which should have been temporary. Now, what kind of money does that translate to? Well, Medicaid, obviously it's saving you thousands of dollars a year, but most people on Medicaid also get SNAP food stamps, which could be anywhere from $500 to $1,000 a month for a family of 4, $500 to $1,000 a month. And then welfare is a broad term. We don't call it welfare anymore. We call it TANF, the Temporary Assistance for Needy Families. And that money could range anywhere from, a few hundred to less than $1,000 a month. And still, with the way society is, to be able to live on that, it's still difficult. But then we also have low-income housing and other things that can help people with their living. So when somebody who is making less than the required a year, so I think for Nevada, to qualify for Medicaid, you have to have an annual income of up to 138% of the federal poverty level. So that means your income has to be less than $16,000 a year, or $34,638 per year for a family of 4. I can see why that is 138% above the federal poverty level. But what I don't see is how we have 1 in 4 Americans needing that. For you to qualify for Medicaid, this has to be your income or less. 25%, close to 25% of the population. Now, by the way, that's working population, so that's probably even more. But kids are included on Medicaid, so to make the numbers easy, about 1 in 4. Okay, that's a problem. And again, we're not talking about disabled. That's Medicare. Medicaid means they are able-bodied, assuming they're not under 18. You get disqualified if you have more than $2,000 in cash assets. So, the rules might be a little different if you're over 65, but if you're over 65, then you would get Medicare. But you can't have more than $2,000 in cash. Well, a lot of people don't have that. And they don't have assets. So no home, no car. It's interesting. People keep asking, I don't understand. Why do so many people not own a car anymore? Well, maybe it's Uber. Maybe they're using public transportation. No, it's an asset. Don't own a car. If you own a car, now you have an asset, and then you can't qualify for Medicaid. Assuming the car is worth over $2,000. Well, if this is actually cash assets, so I think you can own a car. I need to look at that, but yeah, because you have to, for people working to make that $16,000 a year, a lot of them need transportation. But you can't have more than $2,000 in cash assets. So why do we have so many people who satisfy 138% or below the federal poverty level. So when you hear that Trump may want to cut Medicaid, although I don't know if that's liberal media or if that's, I read it as he's going to want to look into that further and figure out why so many people are on it. Now, we have seen, over the last few years, mathematical calculations of what people need to make to get off SNAP, TNAF, out of low-income housing, Medicaid. And in some states, you had to make close to $120,000 or $130,000 a year, like in California, to get off the government assistance. You would have to make that much. So people don't. Now, TNAF is temporary assistance for needing families, but it can last at least 5 years. What are we doing to get these people into jobs? What are we doing? Why aren't we working on that? That's a lot of the population requiring that much money. Medicare and Social Security is difficult to get. For you to be disabled, there has to be documentation. The government has the doctor fill out forms. It's a process. And the disability, even if it's a permanent disability, oftentimes I believe the paperwork has to be resubmitted. And the people I have seen who were receiving Medicare, they were pretty sick. It was obvious. That's why I don't want to see Medicare cut. However, as it pertains to Medicare, I'd like to know where my money went. I've been putting money into Medicare for decades. And you're telling me there's not going to be enough Medicare money when I need it? Why? So I want somebody looking at the money mismanagement. Now, a big part of what's been going on is things are a lot more expensive. A Band-Aid, which makes no flippin' sense, is 3 times the cost than what it was in 2020. Really? A Band-Aid has to be that expensive? So in such a short period of time, we let prices go ridiculously high by supply chain issues, labor issues, cost of goods. So yes, the money I put in the system since the 1990s isn't really, as applicable today. But what if it grew? What didn't you put it into an account that let the money grow and save? And hopefully, like mutual index funds overall through time. What did you do with my money? Well, we spent out on other things, and the way the system is, we'll have money for you. Really? You're telling me you don't? So if Trump is going to look at Medicare and Medicaid and Social Security and see where waste, fraud, and abuse is and what we could do to streamline it better, I am 100% for that. I'm not for them cutting, because Medicare, they're already cutting back. When I had Medicare patients say they needed a pre-op physical, so I'm like, all right, I'll order your EKG, your chest x-ray. I mean, I could do the EKG in my office, but the chest x-ray, they're like, no, can't. And I'm like, why? They go, Medicare won't pay for the x-ray. I go, but you need it for your pre-op physical. You won't get surgery. So here's your order. But you and your surgeon figure this out, because you need a chest x-ray for your surgeon to do your surgery. The pre-op physical is such that you don't die on the table. So the surgeon needs to know that your heart and lungs are clear. So they usually will get clearance by your medical provider, and they'll make sure your lungs are clear. Nobody wants to intubate you if you're having pneumonia or a mass. And so it's for your health. But Medicare was not paying for the pre-op chest x-rays. Now, maybe they fixed that. But I've been seeing Medicare cut and cut and cut. Do they cover dental? Do they cover, home assistance? I mean, a big thing we need is, Medicare to help us pay for home health and older and assistance and assisted living. They don't do that. It's too expensive. There might be some facilities that are government run, but not enough. So I'm expecting by the time I need Medicare, there's going to be Jack Diddley Squat. So if Trump wants to look into why that's happening, yes. If he's looking into why we aren't helping our seniors when they're the ones that contributed all these years, yes. That needs to be done. But first, we need to figure out why a quarter of Americans are working at poverty level or not working. 1-877-DOC-DALIAH. Dr. Daliah here. Are you tired, burned out, gaining weight, succumbing to the daily pressures of life? Well, how's your dopamine doing? How you feel right now, how you'll feel an hour from now, and how you'll feel next week is completely reliant on your dopamine. Our daily motivation and willingness to push through challenges depends on the intricate chemical process dopamine provides. Christian Kalikas and I created Deploying Dopamine, a book that tells you what dopamine is, when it dysfunctions, and how to successfully deploy it when needed. Find Deploying Dopamine on Amazon today. Check it out.
Lisa Wolf here to tell you about our newest website for old-time radio lovers. It's 100radioshows.com. At this site, there are 5 old-time radio shows waiting for you to download free as our gift to you. And be sure to browse the additional 700 old-time radio shows available to you for 70% off by using the promo code RADIO at checkout. This is a limited-time offer, so log on to 100radioshows.com. That's 100radioshows.com.
We are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-DOC-DALI, 1-877-DOC-DALI. Okay, so this is going to be, there's a few other things I want to get to, but I think this is a really important topic, so I want to bring this up. So what's been happening is the term and the diagnosis of autism is now being thrown around. Just like, remember ADHD, everybody had ADHD. Everybody had body dysmorphic disorder. Everybody had a gender identity crisis or gender dysphoria, all these terminologies are being spewed out by non-medical professionals. And now we're having kids come home saying, Mom, Dad, I was told I have autism or I have Asperger's. What does that mean? What do I do? And oftentimes when these kids are being told they have autism or Asperger's by non-professionals, it's being used in a negative sense. Now, I need you to talk to your parents. I think this is what's going on. This is why you're getting in trouble. This is why, you're getting bullied. This is why you're not getting along with friends. Why are kids coming home telling their parents that now, mind you, schools who do it right, if a child is getting bullied, if a child is undergoing any sort of trauma at school, they should bring the parents in, talk to them about that, say this is what the child has conveyed to me. The school should talk to the parents alone and then talk to the parents with the child there so the child can be a part of the conversation. So there should be 2 conversations in that visit. And then because the child's going to get very, very nervous, well, what are they telling my parents? And then, this is what we talked to your parents about. You are amazing in this, you're doing this, but you did get in trouble on Tuesday for doing this, or et cetera. I think the parents should always be involved. I know a lot of schools are not involving the parents as it pertains to a child questioning their gender. I think that's scary because if that child at all is suicidal, the parents are the ones the child is with on the weekends, summer vacations, spring break. You can't keep something like that from the parents if you want them on suicide watch. Parents need to be involved and understand what is going on with their child. And kudos, I want to congratulate schools who are bringing up things. I mean, it's usually the school that tells the parent their child is having difficulty seeing. The child is having difficulty hearing. These teachers have brought up things that parents would have never known. A teacher brought it up to my mom. I was mad at that teacher because I never wanted to wear glasses but they said your child is squinting in class. I didn't know I was. I mean, if my mom said, how's your vision? I'd be like, fine, because I didn't want to wear glasses like her. I want to be like Daddy, who didn't have to wear glasses. I didn't even notice I was squinting. I didn't even notice I was having an eye issue. But the teacher discovered it. So teachers pick up on a lot. And because they're spending so much time of the child's waking hours, they could see what they're doing. They could see what they're eating, what they're not eating, what they're talking about, who they're friends with. So parents and teachers who are partnering are fantastic. But there's been a lot of other stuff that's been going on that's been questioning, okay, what the hell is going on there? And so if a child is coming home, and we had a patient tell me this, I don't know what to do. My child's depressed. They said that their teacher said they had autism. In what context? What context was that? So what do you do if that happens? Well, first and foremost, okay, always get, an opinion. Make sure your child is seeing a pediatrician, somebody who knows them. Somebody could be monitoring their growth, their communication skills, their milestones. We could diagnose autism. Most doctors diagnose it by age 2, but we could figure it out early on when that child is not connecting with mom, when that child, doesn't seem to want mom or dad to hold them. They don't want to make eye contact. They're very distracted. They're not communicating well. We could tell in the even the infant stage if that could be an issue. But if somebody has autism, it's not always negative. Okay, people on the autism spectrum disorder can be some of the most amazing, brilliant. In fact, most kids that have autism are far more intelligent than their peers. So one is you find out from your child what exactly was the context. Are they getting in trouble a lot? Are they never getting picked for sports? Are kids are bullying them, saying that the child is weird? Why do they say, what do you do that they think is weird? Well, I always like to, put stuff in my mouth. I always like to chew things. I always like to, that's, that might be something else going on. Or I'm hungry. And when I get hungry, I get just really tired. And I don't want to talk to anybody. Well, they might be having hypoglycemia. So you always want to have a medical provider also help. But while you're trying to cheer the kid up, you could tell them, look, if this is what you have, you join an elite group of individuals. People who have been postulated to have autism include Albert Einstein, include actors like Dan Aykroyd, Daryl Hannah, although they might not know who they are, we do, Emily Dickinson. And what might win, especially the Gen Z over, is Elon Musk. Say, if your teacher thinks you have autism, that might be because they think you have a gift. And many of these individuals with autism have one hell of a... Now, I understand, very, very severe autism. We wouldn't be having this conversation because it would have been diagnosed quicker. They would be struggling in school early on. But if they are on that spectrum, you could say, that's an elite. It's a compliment. It's you have gifts, and let's figure out what those gifts are. And so that's how I would approach it. People always say, well, autism, it's horrible. Autism is horrible. For somebody who is very severely challenged, socially struggling with communication, nonverbal, yes, it can be extremely, extremely challenging. And they could be at risk and vulnerable for a lot of things, assault, etc. So yes, it is a concern and all hands on deck. But for a child who has communicated, is doing well in school, but is struggling to make friends, struggling in sports, struggling with communication, maybe saying things that, so a child with autism or Asperger's gets discovered because they don't lie and BS like some of these other kids do. If another kid says, oh, hey, look at this. This is my new toy. Somebody with Asperger's could be like, the toy's stupid. Like Cabbage Patch Kids. Whoever stood up and said, I'm sorry, the Cabbage Patch Kid is a stupid doll. It's ugly. They're not wrong. The pet rock. I mean, some of these things that go viral, know, so I would, talk to them about, one, what is it that, made, and of course, have a conversation with the teacher or counselor. Usually that's not something a teacher should be doing, but we have had kids where they get told this at school. Well, you may have this, you may have this. And then they go home and, well, now what? So as a parent, have a conversation with the teacher, professor, or not professor, if that's their age, counselor, to figure out what exactly is concerning them. Is there a behavior they're doing? When they're nervous, like when kids are nervous, they're always kind of touching, down there in their pants. Okay, well, that might be a nervous reaction. They could have a tic. Having a tic doesn't necessarily mean they have autism. So, these are a repetitive movement that they do. So you need to do your investigative work. But if your child is asking you, look, people think I have this, I have, talk to them about how people with autism are who could be on the spectrum or Asperger's join an elite group of very talented, brilliant people. Sir Isaac Newton, Charles Darwin. It's a compliment. 1-877 Doc Daliah.
Hi, everyone. If you've been injured in an accident and think you deserve compensation, listen up. We have legal professionals standing by right now. They'll tell you if you have a case and how much it's potentially worth. Call 800-910-7500. That's 800-910-7500. Call now to find out how much your case could be worth.
Advertisement sponsored by Legal Help Center. May not be available in all states.
At Hot Shot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems. For example,
Diesel fuel cetane levels.
the cetane rating in diesel fuel is 42 to 45. Most diesel engines operate more efficiently with a cetane rating of 48 to 50. One treatment of Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme will raise your cetane 7 points, increase fuel economy, and improve cold starts.
Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme is available nationwide at truck stops, fine farm and auto stores, and online at hotshotsecret.com. Hot Shot Secret, powered by science.
Self-reliance. It's not a phrase we hear much in our culture these days. It might conjure up images of pioneers, the West, rifles, strapping men, and strong women. But what does it mean for us in today's world? The New American Magazine has just released its latest collector's edition, Self-Reliance, Foundation of Freedom. In it, the New American authors outline the necessity of self-reliance for a free people, tips for self-reliant living, and the importance of not giving up hope. This unique edition includes articles on the self-sufficiency of the founders, preparing for a worst-case scenario, firearms, financial self-reliance, the importance of community, and many other topics by expert writers. Now, for a limited time, the New American is offering a bundle of 3 collector's editions, Self-Reliance, The Great Reset, and Trump World, for just $19.95. Available at shopjbs.org. Visit shopjbs.org today.
All right. We are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877 Dr. Daliah, 1-877 DOCDALI. Well, while part of the country is calling Trump a fascist and evil and horrible, and people are applauding the fires at Tesla and the domestic terrorism that is ensuing across the country as it pertains to Tesla dealerships, China had apparently executed 4 Canadian nationals over drug charges. Drugs. Now, I don't care what you think about Doge or executive orders. Stop, in the name of the Lord, trying to make our leaders look anything like Putin, China. Really? Canada is pissed. We don't know when the executions happened or how. Was it lethal injection? Was it firing squad? But Canadian Foreign Minister Melanie Joly said she and Prime Minister at the time, Justin Trudeau, tried to stop them. They are also seeking leniency for other Canadians that are facing a similar situation. The victims are described as Canadian nationals who held dual citizenship with China. But China does not recognize dual citizenship. Israel does. You could be both Israeli and American. You could have dual citizenship. But with China, no. Now, they treat drug charges, this is according to the New York Post, very severely. And they will sometimes give a lifetime prison sentence for smuggling and then sometimes executing. It's rare that it would involve Westerners, like Canadians or Americans. But apparently, allegedly, 4 Canadians died because of drug charges. Canada does strongly condemn this. And I'm not sure what happens next. Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Mao Ning said Canada should respect the rule of the law and stop interfering in China's judicial sovereignty. They say they claim all their defendants equally, regardless of their nationality. I guess the last time Canada did this, there was a Canadian sentenced to death in 2019. They convicted Robert Lloyd Schellenberg of smuggling 200 kilograms of methamphetamine. You know, you would think for China's such strict drug trafficking policy that they would limit the export. Boy, are they really tight on the import. But on the export, they seem to be loosey-goosey. Now, the ties with Canada, we're being told, start to go down in 2018. I guess there was a U.S. extradition request for Chinese businessman Meng Wanzhou. China detained 2 Canadians soon after. I guess Canada had complied with this U.S. extradition request, and I don't know what the heck is going on, but, I think people are really taking, our government for granted. Mind you, we have the best country in the world because we could air our grievances, no matter how small. You can't do it by setting things on fire, by putting people at risk, by contaminating the local atmosphere with the lithium ion battery fire that you caused with the Molotov cocktail, by explosions, incendiary devices. That's no. But if you don't like the Trump cutbacks, you're allowed to peacefully assemble. You're allowed to say something. That's what makes this country great. But people are accusing our government of being no better, if not worse, than China or Russia or North Korea. Are you crazy? You don't get it, do you? Now, if you are upset at the government for leaving stranded astronauts on the ISS for political reasons, allegedly, you should be. NASA astronauts Butch Wilmore and Suni Williams should have come back after their 10-day or 8-day stint. When their Boeing Starliner crapped out, couldn't take them back safely. They got stuck for months. It took Trump going to Elon Musk, even though Elon Musk offered Biden that he'll help. Nope, we declined. Why? Because Elon Musk was working with Trump. Well, that was kind of stupid. Because now they're, trying to recover from medical effects from being out in space so long. You saw Suni Williams. People were like, oh, my God, look at her wrist. She's got an IV. It's a hep lock. If somebody is getting IV treatment, they will have a port on their wrist. Sometimes we have to put in a PICC line that you'll see kind of near their chest, but having an IV PICC line so she could get hydration, nutrition, antibiotics, certain medications, that's par for the course. It means, what that hep lock means is she is under medical care and she's not able to go home yet. She's still out and about and smiling, and hopefully she's going to gain some of her weight back. Although I was thinking the same thing. If I could lose weight, put me on the space station, wow. But no, trust me, there's so many other issues to your heart, cancer risk, etc. But it's interesting because people have asked, okay, what are they going to get? What payout are they going to get? Are they going to get hazard pay? So I looked at this article. This article was from Fox News. Rescued astronauts, how much will they get paid for their ordeal? So their salary, now remember, they were in space for 286 days, significantly longer than the 6 to 8 or 10 days they were supposed to be there. And they average, I guess, NASA astronaut salaries are $152,000. So when NASA astronauts, according to a NASA spokesperson, told Fox Business what happens in terms of overtime, etc., they say when astronauts are aboard the International Space Station, they receive regular 40-hour workweek salaries. You don't get less, you don't get more. They do not receive overtime or holiday weekend pay. Now, their transportation, their lodging, and their meals are provided as they are on official travel orders as federal employees, whether it's outer space or not. Well, they're in space, our moon, but to me it's beyond the Earth. But they also get TDY, kind of a travel daily allowance, TDY, and they receive $5 a day for incidental expenses. So that incidental rate would give them a whopping $1,430. Now, you would think, okay, wait, this is ridiculous. Well, it's the government. Everything is laid out, your GS level or your pay, your contract. If you are working on Earth or out in space, maybe there might be grant money, but for the most part, you're just still on salary. So you're an astronaut and getting paid that $152,000 whether you're on Earth or not. And so I think they should get a lot more. I think they should sue, but they can't. So being that they were on a space station, possibly losing their... Now, what will happen is all their medical expenses will be covered by NASA. Okay, they will get to file for workers' comp. But I think they should get a lot more of a payout for this. There's got to be some bonus or award or something that could give them something for what they had to endure. 1-877-DOC-DALIAH, don't go away.
Did you know that healthy arteries make a gas? Yes, actually 3 known gases. Hi, I'm Dr. Mitch, and nitric oxide is a gas that's readily made all day long to keep our arteries open by relaxing the blood vessel walls. By doing this, our circulation is increased, bringing blood, oxygen, and nutrients to every part of your body. Both age and poor diet can lead to a loss of this precious gas, and in turn, blood pressure can go up, energy can go down, and you can get tingling in your hands and feet. Well, our product, Ultimate Nitric Oxide, can easily help fix this lack of nitric oxide. Go to TotalWellness.com. That's TotalWellness.com, where we are helping you to look good, feel good, and enjoy total wellness.